all the staff so much for that. And I want the customers to know that for our analytical services, 10 times that was sent there, and also 10 times for water samples. That is whole report, and there's 12 pages of our financial report. So absolutely wonderful job, and I think that shows our community and customer base what a great job staff does for all of this.
So thank you for your comments, and thank you for reviewing claims. Appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Coverdale is absent. Director Feldman?
Aye.
Director Mueller?
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds?
Aye.
And President Michelson?
Yes. Thank you. So meetings attended, director comments. Anyone? If not, I will report out on Bosca, and it's probably pretty public at this point. So all of the water agency's concerns, they were over 100 from multiple water agencies, were thrown out by a judge relative to the state board's over heavy-handedness on the Bay Delta plan. So they got in a judge to agree with them that our concerns have really no merit. So we're kind of back to square one. We're back to a negotiated settlement. However, it puts the state board in a much stronger position now as we go into a negotiated settlement. So it doesn't bode well for the future of water for the Tuolumne. It will be severely restricted. It's just a matter of what percentage of unimpaired flows that the state board will really push for. And, it'll really take a drought scenario before we really understand just how severe this is. But thankfully, we have a very good water year this year. Takes about 3 or 4 years to get into a real serious drought, but looming out there in the future, it doesn't look so good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would I'm sure we all want to comment on it, but it was a social gathering for a retirement event, and so I want to thank all the staff for putting together. And I know Gina and Lisa and everybody involved. Thank you guys very much, but it was strictly a retirement event only. And it was well done. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that. We have a really great staff and a really great pipeline of young staff coming in, having been mentored by those who are off to greener pastures, literally, in this case. Being as he's gone back to family farming business. So yeah, it was nice that 4 directors showed up, well attended by staff, and it just really shows what a community water district we are. It's really, really proud. So yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. So general business, please. Oh, and we discussed this. Mary, you can let everyone else know. Facilities we did discuss.
So I'm going to turn this over to James. Report out.
Good evening, everybody. The topic is the Magellan crossing in Medio, where we awarded to Golden Bay Construction to pull a liner through an existing pipe that crosses Highway 1 at Magellan and also crosses Medio Creek at Alameda. When they did the excavation for the pits for the Magellan crossing, the soil conditions were so wet and sloppy that the plan of doing a reversed restraint to keep the pipe from blowing off or blowing apart when it's under pressure wasn't going to work. So we engaged the services of John Sutter, the design engineer, met out with the contractor and came up with a couple options. We asked for a bid on 2 different options. One was to take out of service a larger section and temporary reroute 3 services. That was $60,000, $58,000. And the other option was to go further back towards the ocean, towards the crosswalk of the bike trail, and install 215 feet of main. And that is $176,000. So the reason that we like the option, the more expensive option, is we get something out of it. We get 215 feet of new pipe that is sitting in a high groundwater table. And the $60,000 option, we get nothing but service for our customers while we're doing construction. So we think it's a good deal. We're asking, this is in response to, let me back up, Resolution 21609, policies and procedures for award of contract provided to the general manager, waivers and emergencies. So we declared this as emergency because we can't delay the contractor anymore without incurring costs, because it will delay the liner subcontractor and things will cascade into expenses that we don't get any value out of. So Mary has authorized this change order for $176,000 and $775 for this additional work with Solosky. The original contract price was $308. And Lisa, can you bring up that item? I just kind of want to show the map if you guys care to see what we're doing for $176,000. And if you have any questions while Lisa's bringing that up, I forgot to ask her to.
Just
very last.
walk me, the uneducated, through as to the problem that exists.
When you have a pipe that's unrestrained and you turn it off, it tends to move.
It's restrained by the surrounding dirt.
Yeah. So this is an unrestrained.
Okay.
Let me say, this is an unrestrained pipe.
Okay.
If you expose part of it and it's still under pressure, it's very likely that the valve that is not restrained is going to blow off, hurt someone, cause a disaster. So we were going to put a cement block with some rods holding onto it, but the soil conditions don't allow for that block to set up or stay in place. So our original plan is not going to work because it's so muddy out there.
It's different soil conditions.
Exactly.
Because of a high water level.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's the flooding down there.
There's nothing to hold on to the pipe. So we're going to go back and put fully restrained pipeline in.
Okay, no, do you want me to go?
Can you zoom out a little bit?
But this is the
So
prepared.
this is the original tie-in spot here, was this pit on the right.
Is that better?
I was just wanted to look at that stuff on the left-hand side there. To kind of show them, there we go. So on the right-hand side, you see this box, that's the original pit. There are some conflicts with other utilities with the gas and the sewer. So we're gonna jog over and run it along the shoulder here and tie it in. And we're also gonna get a T and a valve for a future dead end connection project that we're gonna be doing in a few years. So we're getting that value as well. So this is essentially the rerouting. This was gonna be the end of the project, and we're adding all of this in the fittings and the core services.
And we did see this at facilities.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Glenn, you want to kind of give your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the big thing to remember is that we're saving a huge amount of money by the type of method we're doing this repair.
You're putting a sleeve into the.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. And the thing is that when you try to do that, you can't, because the pipe there is not able to be structurally kept in place.
Exactly.
Okay, and in order to save all the other money, we have to spend a little to do this so we can do the thing we plan to do.
But it isn't.
I don't think the public may.
Yeah,
see it as
I think the part to remember is that all we're doing is we're actually extending the level of new work that we're doing.
Okay.
So I don't want people to think that this change order is making this job more expensive.
Right.
It is associated with this job, but we're replacing bad main that had to be done anyways. We just hadn't planned to do it this week.
Doing it earlier.
But because of the soil conditions, we elected to do it this week. So we are buying new pipe that will upgrade. You know, the district's been on a really aggressive plan to replace pipe we feel will fail. And this area is case study number one.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're there. And so I think that the public should know and understand that we are, when we're seeing pipe that's bad, we're going above and beyond and replacing more of it. So Chris and I spent, an hour and a half on this.
Oh, it sounds.
And so we're very pleased.
It's not like we don't have capital reserve available to do this.
Well, actually, the big deal was the Feldman factor. So they gave me 29 days to rush this through.
Right,
Mary's authorized the money immediately, and she says it's going to put the whole year's Feldman factor down. by her getting this accelerated through. So Bob, you're in the hot seat.
Oh, I saw that.
So it's CCWD being proactive.
Right.
As we should.
Yeah, and I think one point is that John Sutter did review the quote, and everything looked in order, and it was consistent with the prior quotes and comparable projects. So we're fine with the cost estimate.
Got a comment here, question, and maybe legal staff can earn their gas mileage over here today. But the agenda item has recommended motion, and then the first sentence says information only. So is there a conflict there involved with that word information only with the motion above it?
So the action item is to receive the report, because this is in accordance with the district's policy. Pat has reviewed this, and he confirmed that staff followed all of the requirements of your policy. So in terms of what you'd like, what the motion would be, I think you just be to receive the report.
Okay, thank you for that.
We don't have to have a vote.
The expenditure was done under emergency provision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to vote.
Right.
I was just trying to clarify conflict of the public looking at that.
Yeah.
No,
It's either recommendation or motion. This case is to.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you. So we all have, and the public has received this information.
Thank you very much.
To be truly transparent here. So thank you, James. Okay, quarterly financial review. These are always
And
kind of self-canceling generally, so that's kind of nice.
And Jeff will take this.
Yeah.
Yes, we're summarizing the first 9 months of the fiscal year versus budget in the report. At the bottom line, the O&M budget is favorable. The actuals are favorable by $820,000 versus the budget. But there are several moving parts that we want to talk about real quickly. One, our water revenues are down 6% versus budget, $595,000 worth, and it's purely usage. And we provided some statistics in the schedule in the staff report that outlines where the volumes are versus prior years. And again, 6 to 7% below budget year to date in terms of water sales use. Operating revenues were offset by favorability in non-operating revenue, the biggest piece being interest that we're earning on our LAIF account. The interest rates in LAIF have been growing steadily throughout the year, and they're now over 4.2%. So we have $250,000 in favorability in our interest income line versus budget. We had a surprise favorability in ERAF funds as well, and some modest favorability in property taxes. Together, they totaled $180,000 in favorability through March. And then we've identified there's a one-off item that Mary and the team worked to achieve, and that's $59,000 in FEMA reimbursements for storm damage from last year's storm. So a lot of work went into that achievement. And then lastly, we have a variety of other non-operating revenues that total $55,000 in favorability. So all told, we're $50,000 negative in revenue year to date through March. On the expense side, there's some good stories here. In terms of savings, $206,000 associated with SFPUC volume favorability, $151,000 in electricity, primarily associated with usage of Crystal Springs Pump Station that's below plan. And then we had some favorability because of openings and staffing totaling $302,000 year to date. And lastly, there are a slew of accounts that combined amount to $212,000 worth of favorability. Some of it largely associated with timing versus budget assumptions. So at the end of the day, we're $820,000 favorable in the O&M budget through March. So unless there are questions or comments, I'll move to a quick summary of CIP. We've identified major spend by project on the second page of our staff report. Total almost $3.7 million in spend year to date. The biggest piece you're aware of is the Nunes treatment plant improvements, a little north of $1.7 million. And we've listed the other project spend items that have led to the $3.7 million in total spend so far this year. All told, we're at as Director Feldman was alluding to earlier, we're sitting on $12.8 million in reserves through the end of March. So that's our report.
Thank you, and I think you educated me on a new word, favorability.
Oh, yes.
That was new to me anyway. I like that. I'll go home and see if my dessert is favorability tonight. I'll break it to my wife. I don't know. I might have to sleep here if I say that at home, right?
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions on budget? So hopefully we can pump up that number at 3.7, nearly 3.7 million, and put a dent in that Feldman factor, right?
Yep. Yeah. I have a quick question.
Please.
How do we do in terms, this is a quarterly report tracking how we're doing on our budget. Every 2 years, we make a budget, we go out, we spend money, and we get money in. Historically, over the years, how do we do and how close to our budget projections do we match? And I'm kind of curious what the variation is. And I realize that I just thought this question up, so you don't have to answer right now. But you were saying, did you have any questions? There's my question. But you don't have to answer right now if it takes time.
My esteemed general manager can probably answer this better.
Yeah, no, yeah. Someone with a Gino or someone with more history would be better.
Yeah.
Better suited
Yeah, I mean,
answers.
I mean, certainly we have, we usually have ended the year favorably, and using that word, over the last few years. Part of it is there are risk levels, and, and certainly in terms of as we look at our budget, we look at what's going to happen if we're going to have to use Crystal Springs.
Yeah.
We have had some openings where we did, we've had, we didn't hire an assistant general manager for a number of years, so that was a favorable variance. But I think in general, we try to be conservative in our budgeting, but it is something that we can discuss too, and when we're going to be having a workshop, and certainly I'll be discussing the budget in more detail at the May meeting, and can bring.
The reason I ask is that the district puts a lot of care and thought into how we're budgeting both long range and short range. And it seems like that as we invest our time and energy in that, the matrix to see how well we're doing is by the percentage we get it right. And it'd be really cool to see if over time that's something that we're getting better at. Are we staying the same? How do we compare to other water districts? And I think that when the public's trying to figure out whether we're doing a good job, that would be a cool number to be able to look at and say, yeah, we're X percentage or where we are. So that's why I asked.
If I could editorialize for a minute.
Yeah.
As being new and having done this for a gazillion years, I understand more and more the budgeting process and how you folks think about it, and how Mary has really thoughtfully created certain budget lines. Like we account for spending at Crystal Springs, even though we might not need it. But if we do need it, if we didn't budget that way, we'd be in trouble. That's just one example. But there are certain things that I see in how we budgeted before that I appreciate. Yeah, being new to the process.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in my 23 years here, I can't say we've ever really been caught short. I think staff has continued.
I don't think we've ever had an end year of unfavorable, an unfavorable end year, which is a loss. I do think that we seem to usually come out ahead on about the same level each year. I mean, we build reserves slowly over time, and part of the reason for that is when we budget, we put capital expenses in that don't always happen. If anything, we err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Basically, we're conservative and we try not to go the wrong way. And all it does is build a reserve for the time in which we will have to have that in order to work. So I think you can analyze it all you want, but I think the bottom line is we come out okay and we look like we have a good business model and we run it like a business and we don't fall short. And I think that's important. I mean, if I had to sum it all up on the high level,
Well, thanks.
And I will say, I mean, I think we have, we really have both our admin team, but also our, operations team, I'll say, are very careful about spending. I mean, I think, we don't hold back when, we don't want to limit what we're buying in terms of, we want to make sure we have safety equipment and but there will be, times as we look at, okay, costs are getting higher because we're not selling as much water and various things. We do watch our, our expenses and everything, every item has to really count and be important for the district.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, good question. And we definitely run and short version is we run a really lean, tight operation here.
Yep.
Thank you. So next item is 218 driven budget timeline process, and we are going to be discussing the budget in depth at our board workshop on April 30th. And
that's the key item. Of that, the next item to look forward to. So we'll be meeting with you at 3 o'clock.
Yep. Boy, this is really going quickly tonight. James, you're back for we're capping this at 36, and this is update 32. Is that a hard cap or is it 35? What's the cap on this now?
We are hoping they're going to be done before June. Is all I can say at this point. And they're I think they're kind of tired of the work site.
So number 34. Okay, we'll hold you that. So tonight is number 32.
Number 32. Yes, we didn't expect to be going this high in the numbers, but that's what happens when COVID hits this country. This is our update number 32. Lisa, if you could bring up the slides, that'd be great. They're finishing up filter 1. Duraflex coating is in there. They're installing they have installed the air scour piping. They've commissioned the valves, installed the valves. Now they're going to be putting in the under drains and finishing up with filter 1. Filters 4 through 2 have all passed the DDW commissioning period, so they're part of our amendment to our permit to operate the plant. So that's in there. The clear well has been bypassed and blasted, crack repair, and I think they're doing a Duraflex coating this week. Again, estimated completion date is June, but we're hoping that we'll be done in May. So if you could bring up the pictures, Lisa, I think that might be a little bit more interesting. And we're still tracking for a low percentage of change orders. We're finishing the punch list now and kind of negotiating the final change order on this project. So top left corner, that's them, the Ranger guys putting in the air scour piping, which is the white pipe above. Keep in mind they're 25 feet off the ground there. Very dangerous work. They've got harnesses and fall restraint there, but just the difficulty of the work and the hazards these guys face. I'm glad that we have a contractor doing it, not staff. The next pictures on the top row are of the clear well. Gives you a good kind of a good view. This picture, first picture on the left, that is the inlet piping. A port for accessing this box. This box fills with water from the treatment plant, spills out of the box, travels across to the other side of the clear well, and then cascades into this outlet pipe here so that we have good contact time for chlorine before it goes to the tanks. So this is the last tank it hits before it goes down to our tank farm at the bottom of the hill. Top right, that's filter 1 after the coating. Again, you can see how high up and how deep the filter is. Then the lower left corner, this is the bypass piping that Ranger and Sean Donovan and HDR came up with. We reoriented the backwash pumps to be able to be fed by this temporary HDPE line. I thought Ranger did a great job setting this up. They gave us a real good price because I remember the superintendent was a little stressed about how long it took to put together. So we got a good price on that work there. This is a column, second picture. This is a support column inside the clear well after blasting and some crack repair. And this is a nice lit up view next to it of ventilation piping coming in and the overall layout of the clear well. Lower right-hand corner, these are two 20,000 gallon tanks that were put in place for temporary bypass to be able to take this clear well out of service. And a lot of work went into that. And another benefit of this is we get to keep all the parts so that if we have a disaster, we're going to be able to mobilize and put something like this together, likely with some help if we had a disaster and we had to bypass the clear well. We're going to have the parts there labeled, ready to go with some layout labels. It'll be part of our emergency response plan. So we are getting some other benefit out of that. There's quite a few cracks in the clear well. We've got that sorted out and they've repaired a bunch and they did a few up in the ceiling. And after this project, we're going to be coming to you with a quote to replace the roof above the clear well because some water was traveling through the roof into the clear well, which was evident when we had it out of service. We don't want water behind our new liner.
What's the roof made of?
It's a tar gravel.
A tar gravel on top of what?
Concrete.
Oh, so it's a concrete.
Yeah.
It is a concrete
slab. Yeah. Yeah. So I just want you guys to know, no sense in having Ranger do it because we're just going to pay 20% on top of what the roofer's going to charge us. So we're getting very close to the end and I appreciate everyone's support and patience while we've struggled through the supply chain issues. But Rangers continue to do a great job.
Great.
If you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
No, thank you for pointing out that this was designed and initiated during the depths of COVID.
Yes.
So, you know, maybe this in May, this will be a ceremonial end to that dark history here at CCWD. And so that the fact that we got this through in times of COVID, through the supply chain issues, really is a testament to really just hard work, you know, everyone involved.
And the persistence and the tenacity of our treatment staff too.
Yeah, really.
You want to work every day and have all this chaos around you all the time and the noise and the questions and the decisions.
Arrow social distance.
Yeah, my hat goes off to the treatment staff. They've done great.
Pretty amazing. Thank you.
James was able to take me up and give me a tour of this last week, and it was really impressive to see how they made this. This was a very clever. I forget, we saved an awful lot of money by this solution, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, the original solution was going to cost us 80-ish, and we ended up getting this for 40 and some change, I believe.
Yeah, so
and that was through Ranger, and the superintendent, who's also an engineer, figured it out. Like, I said, you don't want to do that. And was really nice about it, and he saved us some money.
it was very
underbid it.
Yeah. And the work that's being done, it looks really good. And this is a treatment plant we're going to be very proud of. But the other thing I think our team should remember is that we now are going to have a much more robust treatment plant, and it gives us a lot more capability. And the other thing I'd make a comment, the timing of this repair was really, really good. You know, when we look at the cracks in the clear well, there are a whole bunch of stuff that we caught right kind of at a wonderful opportunity to repair them before they became problems. And that's one of the tenets that shows good stewardship. So the board should really take a bow for having chosen to put the money up and vote to repair a plant that was already there. So
well said. It runs every day. The plant's hardly ever off.
Those storage tanks, the tanks on the side, the last slide. You say they're going to stay?
No, not the tanks, just all the fittings.
Oh, the fittings, all right.
All the mechanical fittings. Yeah, we're not going to keep the tanks.
Okay.
Those are rental tanks.
Okay.
And in a disaster emergency,
I thought you said
we'd rent those.
the fittings was.
Yeah, just the fittings.
In case we have need for them again in the future.
Yeah, or when they got to recoat the clear well in 2 years. Another job.
The total plant, did we redo here? You made it, I think you said it was 40% or something.
Oh, I'd say, yeah, it's a good 40 to 50% of the plants being upgraded. And
so then do we have to face going forward something for the other 40% or 50%?
There are going to be some other projects. There are going to be some other projects, not of this scale.
Right.
but there are going to be some other investment that we're going to need to make.
Okay, so
part of this project was
at the end of work on that facility, we would probably have.
No, there's always going to be stuff to do. Yeah, it's not best off.
Make it clear that this is.
Forget about it.
Anything.
Right. Right. We still have the existing said basin to rehab.
Right.
Got some Philadelphia mixers that are going to need to be replaced. That
Okay.
We signed a PO today for. So yeah, these things wear out. It's running every day.
But there's more to be run over time.
Yes, I don't think without a big project like this, we would have never gotten to all this if we had little tiny projects.
Right.
So
We did a lot.
Sometimes you got to just jump in.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Question,
John?
Yeah, I'll be very careful too. May I ask, do we have a security system at that plant?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I just want the public to know that because we got a lot of drifters lately coming around the hills.
Yes, yes, we've added quite a few cameras to them.
Thank you.
With ears.
Outside of this project, but yeah, we want to keep a close eye on it.
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, okay. Blowing through this, general manager's report.
Okay. Few items to report. The first one, which Jeff mentioned, is that we received a $59,000 check from Payment. We still have
Paid for your time.
we still have an open application for the work that we would want to do on Highway 92, the big pipeline replacement project. So we will see that there, I still get calls every month about FEMA wanting more information, and so yeah, we will see what happens because it's not an in-kind replacement per se. It's more of a mitigation replacement. They are, it goes into different categories and approvals. So we'll see.
You were always clear of that.
Yeah.
Your expectation would be coverage for what broke.
Yeah.
So this is nothing that you didn't lead us astray. You said, we're going to get this hopefully, and we did. And so that's good work. It's great.
Yep. So it was a learning experience for staff and for our engineer. And so the next item, we have engaged a party, formerly Coffin Associates, their Gallagher Benefit Services, to do a salary survey. We had agreed to do a salary survey within 2 years of the MOU, basically. So we're now proceeding along that. And we had our HR committee helped us in the selection process. We had 3 parties who gave us proposals that Jeff had solicited, and so we feel comfortable. Coffin Associates did our last compensation study. They've done a lot of local studies, and so they're based out of the team who's doing it. They're based out of Richmond. So we will be seeing things probably midsummer that we will be sharing with the board. Next item, we have this LEWAP program, Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. It was actually a federally funded program where they gave the feds gave money to the state to help with payment of water bills. So I'm really proud of our staff. Nancy and our customer service staff has really promoted this program. They contacted some of the local agencies helping low income are in the community. And during the last year, we had 54 customers received assistance in the range of $400. So each. So that it was good. Unfortunately, there's no more, the programs has expired. So but I think our staff did a great job of moving the program forward. And then the last item is that on April 2nd, we had the April snow survey, and we are snowpack statewide is 10% of average, so.
Yeah,
You're doing
good
Ken's
news.
report. You're doing Ken's report tonight.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's probably the best news of the night. We're shoving out that drought for the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, I'd like to say they take a while to develop, but at least it's not developing this year. So we won't see one for another 3 or 4 when it really gets critical. So good news there. Thank you. Don?
But just a comment from agricultural perspective, we love all our rain and all our snow, but we want to plant our crops soon because we're way behind schedule. The ground is mucky, which is good for the water world, but not good for the planting world. It's time to get the giant pumpkins in. Beat those Minnesota guys.
Yeah, I know. It's careful what you wish for. We sure got lots of rain this year, and I guess more on the way.
No, we don't come. Got the compost out and you don't want it wet.
Okay, thank you. And James, it looks like you're back again.
Back. Monthly highlights. John Bruce retired after 22 years with the district. Thanks for a nice send-off. He's a great staff member. He'll be missed by everyone. And he really appreciated his time here. He really took me aside and said the district took good care of me, and I appreciate what the district did for him. So I just want to share that with you. He went out in style. We'll miss him. Pillarcitos wells pumped an average of 260 gallons per minute last month. Not ideal. We ended up the year, I think, at 78 million gallons in Pillarcitos water. Last year we had more rain, as you can tell from the rain reports that I produce. I think we did about 98 million in Pillarcitos last year. So, and again, this goes back to John Bruce's management style of those wells. He did his best to keep those wells at maximum production at all times without bothering our neighbors. And he has taken some younger staff out there and shown them his methodology of making sure that pumping season is optimized. So we did quite well, considering the rains. Weren't exactly like last year, but last year was pretty rough. We talked about Nunez, EKI projects, Medio Magellan, we talked about that. Myrtle Street is about 90% complete. Andrini's got all the underground work done, and they just need to do some paving. So we'll probably be doing a notice of completion with you at the next board meeting. Highway 92, Mary's working on the final touches on that project. Half Moon Bay tank replacement project. Half Moon Bay tanks, to replace tanks 1 and 2 is 100% design. Comments are in. HDR is putting the final bid set together, and hopefully we'll be going out to bid next month for that project. And we're just working on some finessing with a couple of tenants that we have there for wireless and cell. San Vicente pipe design, we sent the Stetson design to EKI for a peer review, and John came back with quite a few comments, and we just got to share that with Stetson and get a final bid set going for that. And hopefully we'll be going to bid this summer or sooner for that. Right, Mary? And that's all I have for you tonight, and I'm happy to talk some more if you like.
Anyone? No. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take the rest of the night off, and I think we can all maybe take the rest of the night off. Agenda items, request for board meetings. Otherwise, we will see each other at the end of this month.
Right.
For a lively and spirited budget discussion. Thank you all. And with that, everyone, good night at 7:41. Thank you.
Recording stopped.